В 1955 году,
В 1983 году,
В 2011 году,
1961 года.
опубликованный в 1954 году.
Understanding numbers in Russian can be hard, not just because of the grammar, but because of how they're pronounced. And understanding years can be a special challenge. For one thing, they're long. In English, we can just say 1985, but in Russian, we really do have to say 1985 год. But since we talk about years so much, Russians often won't pronounce every syllable so clearly. The 12 syllables in this year might be squeezed into about 7 syllables. But the way we do this is not random. There are patterns that can help us understand years even when someone is speaking quickly. To take a closer look, let's refer to a system developed by Richard Caldwell, who writes materials for people who are learning English. He uses 3 metaphors for how we speak: the greenhouse, the garden, and the jungle. In the greenhouse, everything is organized. Every plant is in its own place, and so the greenhouse represents a slow, careful pronunciation. What you might hear in a language book for beginners. For example, in English, I am going to learn Russian. In a garden, things might be a little bit more mixed up. The garden could represent a more natural pronunciation, but it's still fairly clear, like what you might hear on the radio or in a lecture. In the garden, you might say, I'm gonna learn Russian. The jungle, that's what you'll hear in spontaneous speech in daily life, when people are in a hurry, when they're excited or angry or relaxed, or when the context is so clear that the actual sounds don't have to be clear. In the jungle, I am going to can sound like I'm gonna learn Russian, or even I'm gonna learn Russian. So the way we pronounce words, as Caldwell says, the sound shapes of a word can be different depending on the context. And careful attention to these sound shapes can help you understand spoken Russian, especially when people are speaking fast. Let's see if this approach can make it easier to understand when Russians talk about numbers. In this video, let's look at 4 common sound shapes to help you understand years in Russian. We see this element in двадцать, тридцать, and most of the teens too. In the jungle, to use Caldwell's image, that last syllable, tsats, reduces to just ts.
19:25 или 25:35 или 35:45, да?
Listen for how this changes the ordinal that we hear so often in dates and years.
В 2013 году.
В 1916 году.
В 2017 году.
If the syllable before nad is stressed, then natsats can become nts.
11. В 2011 году.
2011 года.
Now let's look at how Russians often pronounce 50 and 60. When the stress falls on the last syllable of 10, that first syllable, d, can drop away, and we hear
58.
60. 61 году.
If the stress falls on the first syllable of the word, as in 70 and 80, then we might hear just a quick sit at the end.
85 года.
Thysicha is often reduced to a single syllable, and you might hear the s and sh separately, or they may blend into a single sh sound. Let's listen to some of the sound shapes you'll hear for this word.
1000.
And since we are now in the 21st century, you'll be hearing 2000 all the time, and it will often sound like this.
2000. Только в 2007.
2008 году.
I want to make clear that there are no strict rules about exactly which kind of sound shape you'll hear. It depends on the speaker, how fast they're speaking, what they might choose to emphasize. For example, here's one speaker describing someone else's height and weight.
Где-то 1,60 м и килограмм 85 весом. Где-то 1,60 м и килограмм 85 весом.
Now this 60 sounds to me like the garden.
60.
But this 80
80
sounds like the jungle, even though it's the same speaker in the same sentence. As Caldwell says, the jungle can be a messy and kind of unpredictable place. Summing up, it's helpful to think not just about how a word is spelled, but also about how it's pronounced in natural speech. The suffixes ts and natsits are often reduced to just ts.
20, 30,
50 and 60 may sound like
50,
50,
60,
60,
70 and 80 may sound like
70, 70,
80, 80.
And finally, 1000 is often pronounced as a single syllable.
1000.